I've always wanted to be a wise fella. To me, being a wise fellow was better than being the President of the United States. I knew early on that paying attention to God's wisdom would result in a huge payoff. I didn't want to be anybody's fool. Making wise decisions today for a better tomorrow.
Good morning and welcome to Boulevard. So glad that you are here, and a special day we celebrate James's 30 years here at Boulevard. Just such a special moment. My only complaint is we throw a party for James for 30 years. I've been here for 10 months and I haven't received any kinds of party, anything like that. So I'm still waiting for my 10-month party to happen. But in all seriousness, James, we love you. We appreciate you and being able to work alongside of you. I appreciate you as a boss, as our senior pastor, but mostly I appreciate you for your friendship and the kind of friend that you are to me. It is true, it is Valentine's Day today, and now typically here's what happens with Valentine's Day is you're split right down the middle, right? We can make a line right here of people love Valentine's Day, can't wait for Valentine's Day, and then the other half is like, it's Valentine's Day again. Whether that's a spouse that's like, I don't want to celebrate these kind of things, or it's Singles Awareness Day, these kinds of things, whatever it might be, it's Valentine's Day, and you probably got a lot going on in your mind. Maybe you got plans after church, or you have some plans tonight, and I just want to urge you to pay attention. That's what we're talking about as a church this whole year, this whole aspect of paying attention. Now, when do we hear this phrase the most? It's often when we are daydreaming, or we're off task, or we're focused on something else. My dad tells a story about when he was learning to drive. His dad, so my grandpa, would be sitting next to him, and he would have his hand right on the back of his little headrest. And every single time that my dad wasn't paying attention, whack, give him a whack right on the side of the head. Anytime my dad wasn't paying attention to details, whack, hit him right on the side of the head. Missed a blinker, whack, kind of the side of the head. But see, my dad wasn't paying attention. You need to pay attention. I have a friend growing up named Alex, and I played football with Alex since we were in middle school. This guy had a problem, though. Like, he could not stay awake during class, and most of the teachers would be very upset or send him to the principal's office, but we had one teacher that just liked to mess with Alex because Alex wasn't paying attention. One time, when he fell asleep during class, we all quietly got up and left the class. And when Alex woke up, he was freaking out, and everyone's gone. Like, did the rapture happen? Like, what's happening right now? My favorite time, though, was when teacher would take a book, and as he was walking around and Alex sleeping on his desk, he'd take that book and just whack and just slam it down. It's like, pay attention. I was actually going to duplicate that when you slam a big book down on a table really hard, but I did break the table in my office, so I thought, I'll just tell the story. We don't have to illustrate where that is. But we're in this series called Wise Fellas, going through the wisdom literature of Proverbs. And James has been encouraged us to read through Proverbs during this series and even afterwards. A good practice even to read a proverb a day. Because Proverbs is so much more than these catchy sayings. They're words of wisdom to live by. A little bit of background on Solomon, right? He was King David's son. You hear a lot about David and Goliath. David is a man after God's own heart. Solomon was his son. So after David died, Solomon took the kingship. And one night, God came to Solomon while he was sleeping in a dream and says, I can grant you one wish. What do you want more than anything? And I will give that to you. Growing up, you think about like genie in a bottle kind of things. Like, this is a genie in the bottle moment. But instead of 3 wishes, there's one, and it's not fake, made up. And this is God who's going to grant this wish. It says here, but what did Solomon ask for? He didn't ask for a long life, didn't ask for wealth. He didn't ask for God to destroy all of his enemies. Solomon asked for a wise and discerning heart. God granted him this wish. It says, the text tells us there's not a single person before Solomon or after Solomon that had more wisdom than this guy. So when we read through Proverbs, this is the author of the text, we read through Proverbs, that's why it's important to pay attention. This morning we're talking about friendship. And the truth is we really need to evaluate What kind of friends are close in our lives? We took a poll on Wednesday night, some students, and I had these things listed out with a blank number or a blank spot, and they were to fill out 1 through 5, 1 being the most important thing I look for in a friend, and number 5 being this isn't as important as the others. And here was their number 5 was fun to be around. I thought that would be higher personally. Like, I want to hang around with a friend that's fun to be around. I don't want to hang out with a loser kind of a thing. But they said 4, similar interest. Somebody has similar interest to me, I value that in that friendship. Dependability. Number 2 is kindness. And number 1 is loyalty/trust. And as I was looking at this list and I was doing all the tallying, I was looking, it really impressed me that our students were more concerned about the character of who somebody is in a friend rather than what they like or what they do. I also offered some students some opportunities to write in some things that I didn't write down. And some write-ins included funny. You want some friends that are funny, smart, intelligent. A couple of them kind of concerned me, but they said hot. I want hot friends. Like, all right, I mean, hey, whatever you're into, I guess. But another one, a couple of them wrote in was Christ follower. It's important that my friends follow Jesus. But what's your opinion? What do you truly look for in a friend? What do you value in a friendship? Slide 3 is where we're going to be at. And it's this Proverbs. It's this little tiny verse stacked in this whole book of Proverbs. It says this: walk with the wise, become wise. For a companion of fools suffers much harm. I can't begin to tell you how crazy this really is, that the simple little phrase stacked in the middle of Proverbs can be so monumental in your life, for the positive or for the negative. Because the truth is this: the people that you live life with shape the person that you become. A popular saying, something that I want you guys to take home this morning, don't leave this here, but really take it home, is think about the ramification that this carries. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. If you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. The phrase that we've been saying this whole series is making wise decisions today for a better tomorrow. And this applies to this whole concept of friendship in a very, very real way. Who you are with today affects the type of person that you'll be tomorrow. The people that you surround yourself with today affect who you are, what you value, the way that you even think, the way that you act. It affects you directly, and it even affects your family. Your children, whether you even have them now or later on, are affected by the type of people that you live life with today. Show me your friends, and I can show you your future. And if there's any kids in here, you always wonder, why does my parents care so much about the people that I'm around? They are my friends. Why do they care so much? And parents, ever wonder why you care so much about who your kids are hanging around? Because the people that you're around become the person that you are. Here's this illustration that I'm kind of working through the rest of this kind of message, and it's this whole aspect. It's just an illustration about friendship. It's not really how to treat people or hospitality or thing, but it's this illustration. In this illustration, there are 3 types of friends. Pretend like Netflix isn't around. You can't just sit inside and watch TV or watch the Kansas Jayhawks beat the Oklahoma Sooners, or don't worry, ain't nothing like that. But you're outside and you're sitting on your porch. There are 3 types of friendships. One of those friends, as they walk by and you're sitting on your porch, you wave at them. You say, hey, how are you? Good. But then that person continues on their way. The second type is the type of person that walks by you as you're sitting on your porch. And you invite them onto your porch, they come onto your porch. You talk about family, you talk about life, you talk about sports, you talk about whatever you want to. But that's a friend that you feel comfortable inviting onto your porch area. But it's getting dark, it's getting late, and so that friend has to go on their way home. The third type of friend is a friend that walks by, you invite them onto your porch, and you even take them inside. Doesn't matter how late it is, doesn't matter how dark it is, because this is your friend. You eat dinner together, you live life together. And here's what I want to tell you this morning: be careful who you invite into your living room. Be careful who you eat dinner with. Going to this next slide here, this simple verse is just really 2 different parts. And here's the first part: walk with the wise, become wise. And that's a promise. That's a promise that Solomon wrote down, that the wisdom that God gave Solomon, if you walk with the wise, you will become wise. The second part, though, is a warning. It says, for a companion of fools suffers harm. So here, as we break down this verse, there's a promise and there's a warning. If you walk with the wise, you will become wise. And here's the thing about walking with someone or living life with someone, is it's super contagious. Your habits, your beliefs, lifestyles, wise living is contagious because it's the right way to live. Have you ever heard about how married couples, they start to look alike the longer that they're married, right? Some of you love that thought, and some of you are very terrified by that thought. During first service, I apologized to my wife, Jackie, sitting over there. I said, sorry, girl, you got a long way ahead of you, kind of a thing. But I actually read this study that says, actually, that's kind of true. It's not that your face actually transforms or changes shape or starts to look different, but the longer you're married to someone, the more you pick up their expressions, the more you pick up their facial movements. You're around them so much and for so long that you actually pick up what they look like. The same goes for the people that you live your life with. If you live your life with wise people that make wise decisions, it'll rub off on you. That's a promise. Not from me, not from Solomon. That's a promise from God. Wise people make you wise. Second half, though, is this warning. For a companion of fools suffers much harm. Here's what the warning is not. The warning is not for a companion of fools becomes a fool, even though I believe that is also true. But that's not what Solomon's writing here. It says, for the companion of fools, or living life with fools, will suffer much harm. Other translations say, face destruction, be destroyed, suffer evil. You guys kind of get the picture. But when you live life with fools, when you surround yourself with foolish people, when you choose to be friends with fools, Solomon warns you, you are not too far away from harm. You may actually spend your entire life around foolish people and never actually agree with their opinions, agree with their choices, participate in the things that they participate in. You don't necessarily always adopt their views. But the warning here is that when a fool falls or a fool blows up, you're left taking the damage. You'll be directly impacted by their downfall because a companion of fools suffers much harm. A lot of us, myself included, we've adopted this excuse. But I'll never do what they do. I don't think the way that they think. I don't value what they value. I'm no fool, so I'm safe. Solomon says that's just not true. Because a companion of fools, whether you're influenced by them or not, suffers harm. Back to this illustration about the porch stuff. When you invite a fool into your home, whether you have someone that you live with that's a fool, you run the risk of not only you, but your family and loved ones to be harmed. So the next question might be, so what exactly is a fool? And last week, James had this sermon of how people, 4 different types of people and how they take wisdom. And the one on this far side was a wise fella. When you take wisdom, you engulf it and you actually make it part of you. But the 3 ones over here were a negative response. If you guys didn't catch that sermon, check it out online because it kind of sets us up to where we want to go. But the 3 other responses are, there was the simple, the fool, and the mocker, and then the wise fellow. In my opinion, I believe that the fool is the most dangerous person that you can have in your living room. Because fools, they don't listen, they don't care, they're lazy. A fool is someone that has no regard or care for anybody else. And even at times, they have no regard and no care for themselves. This word fool appears 72 times in the book of Proverbs. So if you need more examples of foolish people, there's plenty of them in the book of Proverbs. Now, I know what some of you are out there thinking, but wait, we're Christians. Aren't we supposed to influence foolish people? Or how loving or compassionate is it to not live life with those that are unhealthy? Aren't we supposed to be friends with those who need it the most? And the answer to that is absolutely. Our whole church's mission statement is that Boulevard Christian Church is a caring community of Christians committed to reaching the unchurched and teaching them to become committed followers of Christ. What we're talking about this morning with who you choose your friends doesn't go against the reason why we exist. In fact, I think they go hand in hand. And here's the key. Do not confuse compassion with wisdom. In fact, drawing away from an unhealthy person or an unhealthy group of friends may be the most compassionate thing that you can even do. When a foolish person crashes and burns, and they will crash and they will burn, taking down others with them, they'll know exactly where to find you. You can't help someone who is shattering if you're shattering right next to them. If you invite a foolish person into your living room and you fall with them, you aren't able to help them when they need it the most. Truth is this, back to that porch illustration, they'll always know where to find you because you're always sitting on that porch. You become a go-to person. You become a healthy and wise person that they can go to and learn that wisdom. Please hear me say this. Don't confuse compassion with wisdom. It says, walk with the wise, become wise. For a companion of fools suffers much harm. I kind of want to show you this story in the Bible in 2 Kings, and it's a story about Solomon's son. All right, so here's kind of the family tree. It's King David, he dies, and Solomon's the king, and now Solomon's dead, and now his son Rehoboam is currently the next king. And so he didn't really gain a bunch of wisdom that his dad was throwing down. So let's kind of read through these slides here. It says, so they sent for Jeroboam, and he and the whole assembly of Israel went to Rehoboam and said to him, your father put a heavy yoke on us, but now lighten the harsh labor and the heavy yoke he put on us, and we will serve you. It says, Rehoboam answered, go away for 3 days, then come back to me. So the people went away. And that's really kind of a wise thing to do. When you were dealt with a decision, sometimes it's best not to react right in the moment, but to take some counsel, to get some wisdom from other people. All right, so he says, then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. How would you advise me to answer these people? They replied, if today you will be a servant to these people and serve them and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servants. It says, but Rehoboam rejected the advice of the elders gave to him and consulted the young men who he had grown up with them and were serving him. He asked, what is your advice? How should we answer these people who say to me, lighten the yoke your father put on us? It says the young men who had grown up with him replied, these people have said to you, your father put a heavy yoke on us, but make our yoke lighter. Now tell them, my little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you a heavy yoke. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions. King Rehoboam has two different words of advice. He has advice from his young friends. He has advice from the elders who served underneath his dad. Two opposite answers. Lighten the load, make the load a lot heavier. It says the king answered the people harshly. Rejecting the advice given to him by the elders, he followed the advice of the young men. He said, my father made your yoke heavy. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions. And here's how they responded. I've skipped forward a little bit. So King Rehoboam sent out Adoniram, who was in charge of the forced labor. But all Israel stoned him to death. It says King Rehoboam, however, managed to get away in his chariot and escape to Jerusalem. This one decision that Rehoboam made, because the people that he surrounded himself with did this. It says, so that Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. Think about all the work that the Jewish people had done when they had came all the way from Egypt to this promised land that God promised them. All the battles that were fought, the whole Old Testament history of all these things. But it came down to one decision from Rehoboam, who he surrounded himself with and the type of life that he lived. His father wrote, walk with the wise, become wise, for a companion of fools suffers much harm. When it says that Israel departed from, that was a splitting of the promised land, the splitting of God's kingdom. To this day, still split. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fool suffers harm. What I want to do now on the back of your impact, you should have a list, and I have a list of true friends and toxic friends. And this is just my opinion. This is kind of my experience. This is also working with students and doing some counseling of some things that I've seen in relationships. What makes a true friend and what makes a toxic friend. Feel free to add to your list or to take away from, take something away that you would like to apply to your life. But here are three things. Again, many, many more that make a true friend and a toxic friend. First, the true friend is this. A true friend loves you unconditionally. I think that the word love might be the most misused word in today's culture. Because what is real love? Is it a feeling you get on Valentine's Day when you see that special someone? But what happens when that special feeling goes away? Is it the feeling of loyalty? But what happens when that loyalty is betrayed? I believe that true love means commitment. And for you to have friends in your life that are truly committed to you, for your reason. That's what makes a true friend. I'll be committed to you and I'll love you. This applies to both, even thinking through marriage relationships and even our friendships. Love is not a feeling. Love is a commitment. You're looking for true friends. Know this, a true friend loves you unconditionally. I think back to Jonathan and David, and King David again. He's going to be the next king, but there's this guy named Saul who's currently king that doesn't like the idea of this guy being king next, and so he's trying to kill him. Jonathan is Saul's son, but him and David have said they loved each other, unconditionally loved each other. Because who was supposed to get the kingship after Saul? His son Jonathan. But instead it was passed on to David. If I could think of anything that would tear apart a friendship, it's you taking something from me. I'm supposed to be the king. David's going to be the king. Since they loved each other unconditionally, those true friendships, that even though Jonathan's dad was trying to kill him, even though David was going to take the kingship away from their family, Jonathan and David loved each other. A true friend also helps you to grow. Proverbs 27:17, one of my favorite proverbs, says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Now here's the truth. If you guys had any intimate relationships, these relationships with your family or friends, the people you invite into your living room that you eat dinner with, they aren't always pleasant. Truth is, sometimes they hurt. But true friends help you grow. Whether it's spiritually, physically, in every aspect of your life, friends need to help you grow. Through good times, through bad times. Now here's what a good friend does. Here's how a good friend helps you grow. I do this illustration with some students in the back, and I want to bring it here. Okay, so here it is. Imagine seeing life, big perspective. If you guys have your eyes open right now, you see the room. You can see the camera guys on the side. You see people surrounding you. But oftentimes in life, when we get bogged down, or we have an issue, or there's sin, or there's just something in the way, instead of viewing life like this, you view it like this. So feel free, it's okay. Everyone could do this, it's all right. You have a hand, and then you have your eye closed. Imagine looking around life like this. It's really hard to kind of look around. You know what a friend does? A friend takes that away so that you can grow. Life is meant to be lived with perspective, and oftentimes we get caught in this state. We can't see anything but the issue right in front of us. Finally, I have down that a true friend is faithful. This can go hand in hand with the unconditional love, but knowing your friend is faithful to you, they're faithful to their word, they're faithful to their character, this is what really makes a true friend. Proverbs 18:24 says, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Faithfulness is important in a friendship. But now on to the toxic friend. Some characteristics of a toxic friend is they bring out the worst in you. I think you guys know what I'm talking about with this. When you're around this person or this group of people, you make some of the worst decisions that you've ever made. You say things that you don't normally say. You do things that you don't normally do. Toxic friends bring out this side of us that even sometimes our spouse, our family, and our closest friends don't even recognize. I think of Aaron, Moses' brother, okay? And Aaron was there since the beginning. Aaron saw all the miracles that God provided, saw the plagues, saw the power, saw the pillar, walked through the Red Sea. He knew who God was. He saw God's power as a leader as they were going to the promised land. But what happened when Moses went on the mountain for 40 days? What happened when Moses was gone for long periods of time? Aaron was often influenced by doing some of the worst things he's ever done. I think about the time when they came down and they had the rules, they had no idols, and as soon as Moses was gone for too long, and Aaron kind of panicked, and he got around these people, and these people said, you need to melt all this gold, and we need to make a golden calf to worship. That's what we need to do. And this is Aaron, the guy who's been through it all, been a leader of it through it all. But this toxic friend brought out the worst of him. I also believe that toxic friends are selfish. Toxic friends are always trying to take. If you had $1 to your name, toxic friends would take it from you. Surround yourself with people that don't take from you, but they pour into you. Selfish, toxic friends drain your energy, they drain your resources, and they drain your value. Last one is this, immoral. 1 Corinthians 5:11 says, But now I'm writing to you that you must not associate with anyone who calls himself a brother," talking about a Christian, "but is sexually immoral or greedy, an idolater, a slanderer, a drunkard, a swindler. With such a man, do not even eat." Those are harsh words, but it says something about the intimate relationships that you need in your life. I'm not talking about the people that wave and walk by, the people that come on your porch, the people that you live life with, the people that you invite into your home, the people that you invite to interact with your family. Those are the types of people to surround yourself with. Remember, we said earlier, the best way that you can minister to a friend, or to be a friend to somebody who's foolish, toxic, or in this case immoral, is for you to be in a healthy situation. Two people that go down have no one to reach up to. Here's what I'd like you to do. On the back of your impact, you see there's a challenge part. And that challenge is really, what I want you to do is to evaluate your friendships. Evaluate the people that are closest to you. Going along with the whole illustration, I want you to put someone's name down that you know, you just need to wave to. That is not somebody that I can have in my life right now. That's not somebody that I can invite onto my porch. It's definitely not somebody that I can invite inside. You know somebody that you just need to wave to. Someone who you just can't have this close into a relationship with, for whatever reason that might be. Same for who someone is not healthy enough that is healthy enough to invite into your porch, but for whatever reason, you can't invite them inside. Remember talking about the people that you really care for, the people that you really love, that you want to make a difference in their life. But it wouldn't be wise to have a super close relationship with them. That can be the second person, the person you invite on your porch, but when it gets dark, they go home. And finally, who's a true wise friend? Maybe somebody that you're being mentored by, or some way that you see this friendship and you guys are building each other up. You guys are helping each other grow. This is the type of friend that you hope to be like. This would be a person in your life that you would love your family to be like. You don't have to do it now, but I really want you to consider and evaluate where people need to be in your life. Remember this: walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Let's pray. Father, so thankful that we have you, that we have your words of wisdom, that we have you to depend on. We have you through prayer, God. We know that all wisdom comes from you. God, as we evaluate the people in our lives, evaluate family members or friends, Lord, you know that there are certain people that we need to hold true and other toxic people need to be aware of. God, we pray for those that are in toxic situations. We want them to receive the help that they need. Lord, help us in wise ways to minister to those people, take care of those people, Lord, but help us to take care of ourselves and our family. God, so thankful again that we have this opportunity to come to you. In Jesus' name we can pray. Amen. There's another friendship that I need to talk to you about this morning, and that's a friendship with Jesus. Many times Jesus, before he died on the cross, he said, one of the best things a friend can do is die for you. And that's exactly what Jesus did. You think about all of his life and all of his teachings. Jesus came so that he could die on the cross. He didn't do it for his own glory. He did it for us. A lot of us have maybe some toxic relationships we need to take care of, or some of us need to cling better to the true relationships. But I'm just going to tell you, if you don't have a relationship and a friendship with Jesus, it's all for nothing. Know that God extended his hand to us first. God desires a friendship to us first. It's our call. It's our duty to accept that. If you have questions about what that looks like, what does a friendship with Jesus look like? Or if you just need prayer, you're going through a difficult situation, we invite you to come forward and pray as you stand and sing.